You're listening to the We Are Libertarians Podcast Network. Find all of our shows at wearelibertarians.com.
Frame all the way out.
Welcome to the Boss Hog of Liberty podcast. This is episode number 348 of East Central Family's favorite podcast. I'm Jeremiah Morrell, joined by co-host Zach Burcham and today's executive audio engineer, producer, and my forever co-host, Mr. Dakota Davis. Dakota, welcome to your least favorite show of the year. What have we planned for you to sit through?
I guess you're talking about a race coming up.
Yes.
Foot race, car race, horse race.
Picture the Kentucky Derby.
Race.
Picture the Kentucky Derby, but they run it 200 times
Very cool.
in one afternoon.
Yeah,
And there's
a lot more horsepower.
what,
on the track
600 horses in one of those?
But
Yeah.
if it rains, we
Only
can't
600?
do it.
Is that true?
They dialed them down.
Well,
right?
Penske's have more. But
In Sato.
but if it rains, we have to wait till Monday. So we are going to cover what? We're going to talk about all the big stories from last weekend, kind of talk through the differentiation in engines this week, maybe a little bit of Kyle Larson talk, some predictions so that Mike can choose the 4-time winner as his dark horse like he tries to do every single year. I'll let you have Al answer. Past that, you can't. And then we're going to talk about some traditions and where we like to watch the race from. This show is about our lives in rural Indiana. We're here to push your boundaries and make you think as individuals. Sometimes we'll provoke you. Other times we'll make you laugh. But hopefully you'll always learn something new. Dakota, we just did ourselves a little Patreon edition. What's the teaser today?
Jeremiah had a family tragedy, and we talked a little bit about it. It was sad news from the Morrell household. If you want to hear what happened, you'll have to go to patreon.com/BossHogOfLiberty. They can't see my face, so that's kind of cool. And then we also talked about Blake, his future plans, and everything that's going on there. You won't know unless you sign up at patreon.com/BossHogOfLiberty. And if you sign up at $50 or more a month, you get a shout out at the front of every episode. Those folks: Mr. Jonathan Phillips, Andy Moore Buick GMC in Fishers, Indiana, Anthony Meyer, A Different Breed Trucking, and then we have Sports Corner Varsity Outfitters in Newcastle, Indiana. Blake Reese is also in that club, and he's been helping Jeremiah out, so we appreciate him very much.
That's right. I'm the one guy that's not wearing a race shirt tonight because I'm repping the Boss Hog PFG from our guy Blake. All right, so it is race week, Tuesday night edition. Mike is fresh off the Old Timers Club. Are they starting to look old to you now, or are you starting to blend in with the rest of
He's
people?
blending in.
There's a lot of really old people there.
Was there a fist fight for the last handicap space?
No, there wasn't, but there were some people pretty upset that their number hadn't been called to get their table of food yet.
So we're having dinner.
So
at
I was
3.
going to say, the Old Timers dinner's at 2:00. What time do they?
It's actually been moved back to 4.
How many people still have their teeth in for a 4:00 dinner?
I don't know, man. There's a lot of people, but the lady did screw up back home again in Indiana and had to start over.
She get booed off the stage.
They sang it.
Yeah, she sings it every year. It's one of Ray Skillman's sisters or something. I thought it was
How long does that take?
a long time,
Half the
especially
dinner.
when you're wanting your chicken.
was that fried chicken? Was that really what they
Fried
served?
chicken.
Gosh.
Is it Jugs? Jugs Catering?
Sure it is.
That's so cliche. They just found it in the back of a golf cart on Sunday and just threw it in the freezer.
Is that like the prayer before the meal? Is this old lady singing Back Home Again in Indiana?
No, she sings the national anthem too.
Did she get to Wabash and have to start? How far did she make it?
No, she got halfway through it and she goes, and I just messed up the words. We're going to start over. And 400 men that wanted chicken went, oh.
Oh, that's awesome. All right. So, Forrest, you just flew in on the Kyle Larson Express to join us.
I did.
Welcome into the building.
Thank you.
You beat me, or we tied. We hit the parking lot at the same moment.
Yeah.
So, we had identified a helipad for you, but you were able to roll in the.
I was able to drive it.
Yeah.
In the Chevy Tahoe?
No, the Tahoe is me. He's Forrest is in the Japanese vehicle.
Yeah, I'm in my wife's car today.
You didn't drive a forklift?
No.
Oh, I want to see you cruise around in a forklift.
That would be awful fun.
Parade on Monday.
Maybe next year.
You
that
have
happen.
Peyton on the front waving an American flag.
You guys could have like a
on a
float.
pallet.
Crown Equipment could have a float in the parade with just each corner as a forklift holding it up, and then you guys just got this giant piece of plywood going down through the middle.
Yeah, that'd be pretty sweet.
That would.
Hey, before we're done, we have a parade announcement. So
Okay.
Huh.
All right.
Really?
That's good because I have hard hitting questions for Zach about the parade later too. So messy practice week. Last year, Monday was the first time that they had any incident at all when Steph Wilson had his crash and his back was broken, and Graham Murray Hall had to jump in the car. This time we had Nolan Siegel lost a car. Linus Lundqvist crashed in the Ganassi number 8, which is Marcus's old car. They were able to repair that. I think we had Marcus Erickson.
I got that one.
Junked his car and had to go to the backup. Were you there taking shots?
I had just got there and boom, right in front of me.
When I saw where it was, I wondered if you were in your spot.
I was.
If you look at the replay, he's right there.
I'm the only guy there.
Yeah.
So Marcus had to go to the backup car. Nolan Siegel had to go to the backup car, and those two, by doing that, that kind of set their week back significantly. Zach, you and I spent a lot of time out there together. A bunch of blown motors throughout the month.
Yeah, a lot of popping, a lot of smoke.
More than we normally see. For
Yeah,
sure.
normally you don't see a lot of them. And you didn't hear a lot about the Pato blew one in the final moments of the warm up for the GP, and
Rossi had to do a change then as well.
yeah,
Before the GP, we were in the garage area, and they were changing out. The McLarens were changing out two motors there. Before the 500 qualifying, I think Rossi or Larson had to get a new engine. I think that's his third engine since the start of testing, which is great for Chevrolet in a one-off attempt.
Well, and yesterday I went over for the practice yesterday, and I looked down the road, and no other cars are doing this. Ed Carpenter's car, every time they started it, or even would crank it over, would fire out a big puff of smoke. And at one point, it shot a fireball out past the rear wing in the face of the poor guy holding the starter, who was just a kid in a baseball cap. And you can tell he's like looking around like, yep, I'm okay. But he his head disappeared in a fireball off the back of his car. And the crew is just like, that's just what it does. I'm like, no, none of the other cars are doing this.
A couple more weeks and we'll have hybrids. We don't care anymore.
Yeah, we don't care.
Just suck it up. We're not going to try to figure it out. And then Zach, we got you introduced to the phrase plenum event.
Reintroduced. We were teased with it last year, and then this year it became the phrase of the weekend on Saturday.
It was definitely a buzzword.
Yeah,
What was it?
plenum event. It's what happened to Pato last year at St. Pete.
He was leading off the last corner, and the engine sputtered, and he got past at St. Pete was it by Newgarden?
No, that was by Marcus Erickson.
By Marcus Erickson. Oh yes,
That's one of Marcus Erickson's
Zach's favorite.
stumbling into a win. But it's basically when the fuel ignites in the intake plenum, so there's no air to get to the cylinders, and it gets there's nothing, so it kind of causes the motor to hiccup.
So that happens. So it happened to
We heard it happen to Larson.
Saturday during qualifying, it essentially hit every Chevrolet team except for Team Penske and except for Foyt Racing, which led to Boss Hogelum, John Oriovitz, to point that out and go, the guy that had the cheating scandal that just bought that makes the Ilmore Chevy engines and owns the track is the one guy that's not having this problem.
And then the four-time winner.
Technical alliance with
Foyt.
Floyd.
Yeah. So that was fun. So that was the big Saturday story. Massive crowd out there. Saturday, I think a few people pointed out that lot 2 was completely full. The infield was full up.
Yeah.
And had 1 million viewers on NBC.
Yep. It was the most watched qualifying on NBC in history. So 90,000 people over 2 days. I think the Saturday crowd was probably a little bit bigger than the Sunday crowd was.
It might have been, yeah, because it's for the timing for people who want to go to the track on Sunday is not great.
Yeah, and it was head to head with the Pacers.
Yeah,
The game 7 of the
they
thing.
kept us up to date on the Pacers. It was the good old days for people that remember where they had the Pacers score periodically on the screen with the cars on there, and we're give you the score. Unfortunately, with Dave Calabro giving you the scores, but
Dakota, do you know
get the
Dave
scores.
Calabro? Are you familiar with his work?
No.
No.
Oh, you're fortunate.
The judging look you just got from Forrest Plank.
I don't think I've ever heard that.
You ever
name
watch
in my
Channel
life.
13 News?
No.
Oh,
He's been the sports director at Channel 13
for your entire
your
lifetime.
entire existence.
Yeah, your entire existence. He's been the sports guy on Channel 13.
He's
And his hair has never changed.
He has overstayed his welcome in Indianapolis by 10 years.
What's his name?
Dave Calabro.
He's a Ben Davis graduate. If you knew him for 10 seconds, you'd know that. What makes it worse is that they, in the last couple of years, they picked up Alan Bestwick. Alan Bestwick is amazing and makes Dave's lack of performance even more glaring because Alan's great.
But Alan's the number 2, and Dave gets to talk 75% of the time, but he doesn't know what's going on. So Dave is the public address guy out of the track, and he's usually just pointing out the obvious.
I'm still pulling for Dave the King Wilson to get that gig.
Be good. I think Dave's a little rough now. Dave performed in Newcastle last winter
today,
and he's not getting around as well as he used to. But he could do it.
He could do the booth.
You put him in the booth, he could do just fine. So huge crowd. Really, really glad to be out there. We got ourselves some seats on Sunday afternoon in the true upper deck penthouse area, the Forrest Plank level of the stadium.
Oh, not anymore.
You guys got shoot out.
I got shot down.
We'll talk about it here on the back end. The old Forrest Plank area of the stadium. So we were top level, and IMS is being a real tightwad over seating this year. I don't want to complain too much, but they were holding you. They wanted you to pack in before they opened up extra spaces. So we went to the very end of the upper area, and we kind of established a little bit of a fortress of the 3 rows there, and we took about a third of the stand up. And they had a little yellow line of rope out, and they were just not going to open it up any further. And I watched a number of people come down and try to state their case that these seats are all full, and they were just not having it. They just pointed towards turn 1 and said, "Find a spot over there."
It looked good on TV
walking.
though.
Yeah, it was very full.
Yeah,
it was very full. And it was. I kept noticing how the crowd has shifted. Like 10, 15 years ago, when Ryan Hunter-Reay missed the race and John Andretti was getting in by a miracle in that Petty car, everybody was on the inside. Like everybody was down there by pit road. And now we've all moved to these nice covered seats out on the outside as we've aged and decided we don't want to get heat stroke.
What were those seats like before the renovation?
I never went up there.
I never did.
I think they were all the
folding
folding
chairs, right?
green metal chairs.
Yeah,
Oh, really? So,
Yeah.
so they still have some of those chairs floating around. Like they're nice. They're like flip down stadium seats or whatever. But and if you're not in the front row, you got a cup holder. But yeah, because the seat. I wonder if at one point those seats on the other side where you get broiled alive if the sun's out, do have seat back? They have backs and stuff, so they're not horrible. But
They're aluminum bleachers.
yeah, aluminum bleachers, and it was, Sunday it was 85 degrees.
So the bump day story, we had predictions last week. Dakota, you predicted that Catherine Legg would miss the race.
Yes.
I had predicted that Pietro Fittipaldi would miss the race. He was 30th. He actually did not end up in the last row shootout. And Zach, you had Stingray Bob missing, and he was sadly respectable for your pick.
I can't believe nobody predicted that Graham Rahal would miss the race.
I was on kind of.
I almost made that call.
Though is that there's a lot going on.
It would have been a lucky draw.
I said last week's episode I said Catherine Legg, and Jeremiah was like, actually, that's not a bad pick.
Yeah, I was like, that's pretty darn close. So her teammate is the one that missed the race, and sadly, after Nolan crashed on Thursday, Wednesday,
Friday.
or Thursday?
Fast Friday.
Was it Fast Friday?
I walked
It
into
was Fast Friday, yes.
I walked into the facility, and first thing I see is a car upside down.
Yep, I was standing in the garage
Way to go,
area
Blake.
with some clients.
I was also in the
and I was like, oh, I know where we need to go, and we stood in front of Nolan's garage.
That's
area,
when I left. Was when they were going to get busy.
and they were dropping in there, so I was standing right down there. So Nolan, I thought, okay, they'll get this fixed, and they'll be back out by. It was like 1 p.m. And I thought 5 o'clock they'll be fine. And then they said, nope, we got to go to the backup car. I don't know what happened. What if the tub was damaged or what happened?
Yeah, he was upside down.
If I guess if you skid across the on the roof, that's not a wearing plate, and it pretty well destroys the Dallara. But the saddest thing was the guy in the garage area who was still rubbing on the old pieces, like they were going to put it back out there, even though holes had been worn in the bodywork. He was still polishing it up, Mike.
I really thought that when Siegel was not close, that they'd put Jack Harvey in that car.
I had
Really?
the thought cross my mind too, but Nolan Siegel's in that car because I think his parents paid for him to have that car.
Yeah.
And I think that's the reason why Jack's able to run the other 16 races, because they got a big old check from the Siegel family.
And he's proved that he can win. I mean, he's won in every level he's raced in. I think he gained a lot of fans over the weekend. His quote that he had, if I wasn't making the race, I'm putting it in the wall trying. Like, and he's 20. Like, he's got a bright future. I think he gained a lot of respect from a lot of the other drivers.
He came back with the steering wheel.
Yeah.
He destroyed 2 race cars over 4 days.
You know, it happens to the best of us.
I also wonder just if at that point the car didn't have the pace in it, and then you give it to another driver, he can't make it in with it either.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like, oh, it's the car, not the driver. And it looks worse for the team. But
so the big story for the weekend for Zach Burcham was that your favorite driver, Marcus Ericsson,
can't count to 4,
was on the struggle bus. He crashed a car. They had to go to the backup, and it was the very first time that Marcus ever had a dedicated Speedway Indy car. All the years with Ganassi, all the years with Schmidt-Peterson, he would come out there and he was in his road course car. And it was the first time he was a paid driver. He had the top equipment. And Mike, you've got the pictures. He crashed off turn 4, destroyed the car.
Hit the attenuator and nothing exploded. I mean,
we'd hit 2 walls first.
He played ping pong already.
Yeah.
It was going 20 mile an hour.
Yeah, when the attenuator's nasty when it's the first wall you hit.
Right.
It was the third wall he'd hit. But
So Marcus has to roll around in the backup road course car.
No, I actually heard. I heard that was a backup oval.
A backup.
That was a
car?
prepped. That was a prepped car for whoever needed it.
It was still 2 miles an hour off.
But it was but I might be wrong. But I heard it somewhere. Somebody said,
we'll find out in 100 days of May.
That the team it's a big team, 4 cars, that they had a 5th car prepped. Probably not to the extent the other cars were prepped. Yeah, he went to a backup.
So he gets out there, goes through the line the first time in the last race shootout, and
the most amazing thing,
he goes into turn 1 and lifts after he took what he thought was the checker.
After
he did a Mark Martin at Bristol, and just said, "Okay, we're done."
His crew is yelling on the radio,
Go.
White flag, white flag, white flag. And if anybody's been at the track or seen the flagman at the track, he's enthusiastic with his flag waving. He is waving white flags.
He has a great story as well.
Yeah, great story. He has a book apparently. I heard he has a book, and I've got multiple videos. Like once a year, I'll record him doing his because he has a very particular routine about how he waves flag, but it's not subtle. And somehow Marcus drove through all of that and decided, I'm done.
I've done enough.
I'm done enough.
White flag. He surrendered.
Thought it was Swiss, not Swedish.
He's not French like the others, but on that day he was. So he goes in, and they've only got an hour, right? So this sets up the drama of he took his attempt, and now they've got an hour, and the engine is hot. He's got to cool it down.
He also did not take his allotted extra cool down lap because for the heat soak is bad on the motors, and it's very concerning for them to make quicker runs. So they were allowed an extra cool down lap. He didn't even take that.
No, but he went out and did like 4 parade laps at 100 mile an hour. So
in the stands, they don't give us this knowledge. So Marcus then comes back out about 25 minutes before the gun's going to go off, and he runs about at 2:10.
Well, the time that was on the TV was 168 miles an hour. Like, because after that, he ran like the full, he did a warm up plus 4 plus the cool down. So he ran like 7 laps. And
he's on the outside. Nolan Siegel has recorded a time that was like a 2:29 or something.
Yeah.
With the hottest track temperature we've had all month.
Yeah. Scorching.
So Marcus is now trying to cool the engine down at peak temperature. Has to pull it in. 8 minutes to go. He makes a final attempt, and he bumps Nolan Siegel out of the race, much to the chagrin of Zach, because his joy was stupendous.
Well, he said they weren't. I don't know if they didn't mention it. Let's be honest. We've already talked about Dave. So Dave may have missed it. I didn't hear anything on the PA about him slowing down in the last lap. So they're showing their lap by lap. So he ran 3 2:30s. At that point, you kind of know he's in, because I don't think Siegel had run a 2:30.
That was above
that day
as well.
Yeah,
I mean, he was like 2:30s in.
And then the last lap was a 195. And that's when that's my voice is a little off. I was screaming. It was so funny. And I didn't even know why yet.
So can we dive into why you hate Marcus Ericsson?
It's not that I don't hate him.
Wow. Okay, sure.
I'm apathetic. I think he's a good driver. He's not a great driver. And almost all of his wins have been at the expense of somebody else.
All of his success has been
And his
flukes.
second win was taken away.
The second 500 win.
So Marcus
Yeah.
won Nashville.
According to him.
Marcus won Nashville
And
after he
everybody else.
crashed the car and the strategy looped into it.
And
I think he won Detroit
and-
because they had a red flag and Will Power's car nuked itself.
Pato had the Plenum event.
Yeah.
That gave him his first win. And then he had this kind of freak Nashville thing. And then he was behind Colton, and Colton was on like ragged tires and put it in the wall. That was his next win. Yeah, Detroit. Yeah, the red flag. And
He was the third best Ganassi car when the Indy 500, and Pelot and Dixon.
yeah,
both
Pelot had gotten like a bad
pit stop
like
nightmare.
a bad caution and pit stop, and then
Pelot
Dixon had
got
a
hit,
late.
didn't he?
No, they were just both pitting as the Pelot and Dixon
Dick-
were both pitting as the caution was coming out, so they entered a closed pit
Didn't
lane.
Dixon though have a late pit speed penalty?
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did.
It's like every one of them, you'd be like, well, he had a good day because somebody else had a
well, that's
real
racing,
bad
though.
day. Yeah.
I mean, that's just how
But
the
it's
cards
just-
fall.
that's
Indy
just
picks its
how-
winner every year.
That's
The
just
McKown's
how,
like Marcus Harrison.
That's just how
I mean,
Zach chooses
I don't
his hatred.
particularly love him, but I think he's been a good winner. He's very
I think
involved in Indianapolis. He has the Riley helmet this year. I think he's been a great spokesperson for the Europeans, at
I
least.
think he's Ari Lindike. I think
I'll give you that.
I think he's just like really good at Indianapolis, not so much everywhere else. But he's had. I'm happy for him, but he's not a top 2 or 3 driver in the series.
I think
But at Indianapolis, he's just like Renus VK of just being a real. And Takuma Sato.
I saw
An incredible
something
knock
today
there,
that
back
was
there.
like Renus's average starting position is like 3.4 or
It's
something.
amazing.
And then somebody commented under it, and he'll be watching with the rest of us at lap 60.
Yeah, he needs to finish one of these. So that was the qualifying side. We discussed it that Pietro was in okay. Catherine was the fastest of the slow 4, and Siegel missed the race. So Graham Rahal, he was on the bubble again. What's your disappointment in Graham for us? Because you've got this Graham Rahal hatred.
It's just
I'll
from him
join.
running his mouth last year.
he gave a great interview after this year.
because
after, though.
he got a PR coach after last year's race. I mean, he completely destroyed his team in the media last year.
Okay,
It's not his fault.
can I ask
though.
a question though?
Right.
if the last row shootout is your entire team, can you complain about the team?
No, it's not because
It was almost the entire team. He got bumped out by his
It
teammate.
was him and Jack
in
Harvey.
23.
in
Yeah.
23.
Yeah.
And Catherine Legg had made it. Lundgaard, Harvey, and Rahal were 3 of the bottom 4. And I think
Yeah.
Ray Robb.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I think the team can be appropriately drug across the coals when the team makes up 3/4 of the back row
but
shootout.
you have Catherine Legg, who races in one IndyCar race a year, and Stingray Robb, of all people, go faster than you.
Yeah,
And you don't have Lundgaard having that problem.
And
I mean,
Connor Daly this year in the second dry Reinbold.
he says something happened in that car.
He
I'm
had
curious.
Daly was going to go 15th, and he had a plenum event as well on his qualifying attempt. Because the other car
is that
was
another
12.
Chevy?
Yeah,
Yep.
that was another one of the.
They
Chevys that
did hit a
trouble.
bunch of people. Augustine Canapino was running like 4th. He was projected to run 4th, and he had a plenum event.
But
Daly had
Sacco
good
still
laps
put
on
it
Monday,
in the
didn't he?
show in that
Yeah.
car.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Canapino's been. He's
Better than
I like
might
Campino.
remember that name here in a minute.
better than the French guy driving the car. You know?
Yeah. So that was a qualifying drama on the back end of the field.
Phoenix.
On the front side, Mike, did you take pictures of the front row in 1988? Were you around to this?
I did take pictures of the front row in
So-
98. It was an all Penske front row.
And this is the first time since then. They were all Chevys back then. So your pole sitter was Rick Mears. You had Danny Sullivan and Al Luntzer,
Senior.
your underdog pick for this year, in the Cummins Chevy.
That's horrible.
I have an Allen.
That's horrible.
face.
It was a Pennzoil car on the pool both times.
Yes.
Yeah,
It
I
was
saw that. I saw that picture. I was like, oh,
That's cool.
But
Yeah.
I was watching the telecast back. Here comes Will Power to congratulate Scotty McLaughlin. But
I
there
mean,
was
everybody
we
loves
could
Scotty.
talk about that.
there was no.
Yeah, I can
New
imagine.
No more Bus Bros, no New Garden.
which is
Were you
very
a-
sad.
Did you watch a lot of Bus Bros, Mike?
I've watched them all.
I
Oh, they were
loved
great.
Bus Bros.
Bus Bros was fantastic.
I
But
I
want
was
someone
happy
to
for
ask them
Scotty.
about that.
I was happy for Scotty.
Scott McLaughlin is on par with Hinchcliffe in the most popular driver of his era category, I think.
Yes.
With his competitors and with the fans.
Yeah. I mean, he's just a great guy. He's entertaining as all get
But
out.
there's something that's happened between him and Newgarden, so for sure.
Yeah, I think McLaughlin kicked his ass last year, and all of a sudden he said, I'm unfriending you. I don't think Scott was the problem.
yeah, I wholeheartedly agree because you watched Bus Bros and there was a distinct change of mood after there was a bit of a shift and Scotty Mac was seen as a very clear threat to Mr. Newgarden. And then all of a sudden Bus Bros go like, oh, kind of gone. And now it's just gone.
Yeah.
And people that aren't aware, Newgarden decided no distractions. So he had like a multimedia guy he's real big in with, fired him. Like they cut off ties. He's working with other people now. He doesn't follow anybody on social media, including his wife. He's like, his Instagram is 0. He doesn't follow anybody. And he's just no distractions.
Yeah, but you know, back in the day, Nigel and Mario didn't get along either. But when Mario was on the front row, Nigel came and congratulating. I mean, it was just, I felt like it was in poor taste and it was a knock on Newgarden to me personally.
I was glad that Newgarden was the slowest of the three Penske's. I thought it was inevitable that a Penske was going to be the pole sitter. In the Wall Racing League, I did pick Scotty Mac to be the
I can't log into that. I was first after week 1 and it logged me out and I cannot get back into it.
That's because you were first. Jeremiah's got it fixed.
What?
I was first.
Do you need your dad to teach you how to write down passwords?
I don't know because I'm not in it this year at all because I can't get in it either.
My Google Chrome remembers my password.
I just log in with my Gmail. Do you guys log in?
Yes. I just pressed the Google
like,
button. It logs me in and it's like join a league now. And I'm like, I already joined one. I was winning it. And then I forgot to do it for
I think the McKowns are being protested.
Yep. In the fantasy pick, for the 4 people you picked, Jeremiah and I picked the same 4 people.
We did. We compared notes on the way in the
Larson for the fantasy pick for qualifications. Larson was $19.
Okay,
and it's 4 picks for $100 total. That is a steal.
Yeah,
because with nothing else, the guy can drive around in a circle by himself.
Yeah,
like that's relatively easy.
So I chose Larson. I had Vernius VK, and then on his attempt on Saturday, he put the thing in the turn 2 wall, and I thought, well, that's gonna suck. He's gonna be here qualifying the last row. Thoughts and prayers to Nolan Siegel when he's got to beat Renus VK in the last row shootout tomorrow. He's gonna be screwed. And then they put the car back together, Mike.
Yes, they did.
In no time.
And they
it wasn't a whole lot. He just bounced it.
And that was great
TV.
Yeah, it was total drama. They put Peacock, but it was a great show. They put it back together. He goes out and he puts it solidly in the show. And then my wife was absolutely furious that Renus VK was solidly in the show. And then he pulls his time and he jumps in front of her absolute favorite, Alex Palou, who was outside of the top 12, was trying to make the top 12 shootout, and Renus pulls his time and jumps Alex, and he wants to go for the top 12.
Sticks in the fast 12.
And he does it.
Yeah.
And he's starting for
he
the
bumped
second row.
Colton Herta
easily,
too,
yeah.
but
yeah. There are a few guys that are just absolute badasses around that place. And Renus has hosed Alex Palou enough times that Sarah has a list of
I'm trying to recall that it was the one that actually bumped him out of the. He kept Alex from
having
making
another
another
shot.
run.
Yes,
Ryan Hunter-Ray bumped Alex.
Yeah,
last year, right?
This year out of the Fast 12.
Really?
Yeah,
12.
yeah, because
that was
Jeremiah and Sarah were gone. They had family obligations, but Sarah's mom was in there and she was cheering for Ryan Hunter-Ray, and then his first lap was like, okay, he's in this, and all of a sudden Libby realized that, oh crap,
it's gonna
he's in the Fast 12, the 10 car's on the bubble. And I was like, if he gets bumped out, I'm telling him it's your fault because you cheered on Ryan Hunter-Ray.
Good for Ryan though.
Yeah, absolutely awesome.
He's
I legitimately had to calm Sarah down and say Alex wasn't winning pole. If he had made it, he would have qualified
Tate. Yeah.
He was not not going to be in the first 2 rows. It doesn't matter if you start 10th or 14th.
How many Hondas were in the
fine.
Fast 12? 1, 2?
2. I think Rosenquist and God,
Was there one other?
Yeah, Kirkwood.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I still think the wall racing thing's picked. I think it's fixed.
Pick a new email account, Mike. I don't know.
Well, then I can't.
Well, I
Start
got
from
Alan
being
for
in first.
senior for $3.
Pick them all day.
I'll give it to you for a quarter. What's left? Zach, the engines. This is the first time in a long time that it's been a true, just huge difference if you've got a Chevy or a Honda.
Yeah, pistol whipping
at least in
qualifying trim. Because I think somebody pointed out that what they're like a mile and a half faster than the Hondas, and then the Penske's were another mile an hour faster than all the other Chevys. But even I was like, okay, then wait till Sunday when they're only going 222 and fuel mileage matters. And all of a sudden, here comes like the Chip Ganassi guys and the rest of the Andretti guys.
And
I think Andretti
and the
will have
guys
it
that
figured
aren't
out,
having the motor malfunctions.
Yeah, they're not. I wonder if they won't be doing that as much if the wick's not turned up so much. If that was a side effect of
I think that was
a qual trim
just ripping. So you've got. I tried to lay it out in the show notes here. You guys that are patrons, you got that ahead of time. The Chevy camp is Penske, McLaren, Ed Carpenter Racing, Juncos Hollinger, AJ Foyt Racing, Brian Reibold, which is the every one of those Chevy teams is in the conversation for the top half of the field. They all put cars in the top 12, or they would have if Juncos didn't have the problem with Canapino. Ganassi, this is the worst starts they've had since like 2019. 14th is the best car they have. Andretti got one in the top 12. Meyer Shank is the fastest Honda out there with Felix Rosenquist.
Oh, there's a third Honda, Sato.
Yep, Takuma Sato. Yep, he did make the top 12 for Ray Hall. And then Dale Coyne has two cars, but only one's going to race, with Catherine Legge being the hope. The bottom four, by the way, were all full-time entries. All of the one-offs made the race. They weren't even the last for a shootout.
Yeah. I mean, that's not uncommon. I remember how many times you see the last row shootout.
Newgarden got bumped,
or the cars they're going for the shootout, and like it's some poor full timer, and like last year all the Rahal cars, Catherine Legge's fine, and she was like, I don't think she was super comfortably up in there, but she was comfortably enough that I think she was out on street clothes at the end of the day. So
I mean, the last one I can remember that a one-off didn't make it was Alonso.
That was just a terrible car.
In the first year,
Yeah, I mean, they had it configured to
they messed
KMH.
up. They messed up.
Wasn't that the story?
Some of the suspension setups were done in metric, and the measurements were given to them in standard.
Pato Award missed it in his first year with Carlin as well, and everybody's forgotten that now. But yeah, Pato was
the only Carlin driver I remember is Max Chilton
and Connor Daly.
Well, there we go. That tells you how much Connor is a threat to.
Connor won a pole in a Carlin car.
That's nuts.
I think at Gateway.
Yeah, he did.
We went to that race that year.
So I don't know, Forrest. To me, I think one of the stories to watch on race day is to see if Ericsson, Palou, and Dixon can maybe march forward and get to that top 5.
There's a lot of heat in the back.
Winners in the back.
Yeah.
I think Rosenquist too will be. He's got strong pace
really
for a Honda.
Momentum all season. I think.
He got out of McLaren and he can be himself.
Who were treating him like a redhead stepchild for like the last 3 years. Like,
and
hey,
he was winning at the end of it.
Yeah,
or putting it up there.
But they kept him around, and they just kept keeping him around because they couldn't get their other contracts done, and people arranged. And then he moves over to Meyer Shank, which has been kind of wallowing for the last couple of years, and he's been every single weekend he's there.
The chat room is noticeably quieter tonight than it normally is for one of these race night deals, and we can blame the Indiana Pacers for winning.
That's okay.
I swear to God, this Pacers run, they're about ready to start.
I am thoroughly convinced they can win the title.
In-season runner-ups, right?
In-season runner.
Did they get a banner for the
Lakers?
Did they get a banner?
I don't think so.
Okay. I would,
but
the Colts would have put a banner up.
Yeah,
there's a plaque in the ladies' room.
What AFC runner-up
finalist?
Yeah.
All right, Zach. Helicopter talk. We need to talk about the Robin Miller entry in Kyle Larson.
Yeah, he's really good.
You know, I think he is. I think he's very, very good. He can drive anything. He's compared to AJ and Mario. But I just wonder in long fuel runs when you have to work on weight jacker and distributing the car, if he can be a factor at the end. I'm not.
I think he's got 400 miles of practice. I think they're really good. Like people trying, it's 500 miles. Yeah, that's all those guys do. All Cup guys do is drive around for 4 hours. So I don't know. I think if anybody can, he can. I think he is. He's an AJ Foyt, Mario Andretti level talent.
Rick Mears, same.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see just because it is his first time. And somebody talked about, I guess Rosenquist said that's what got him is you get to the last 100 miles and then you got to turn the wick up.
Mm-hmm.
And can you manage that point?
Kurt Busch had been in a car previously, right?
He had tested. Yeah. He had the same kind of a program. He was ready.
He's no different than Larson, really, and he did well.
He was there,
got sixth, I believe.
I don't think Larson has the maturity that Busch had when he ran. So patience
or the crazy girlfriend.
Patience will be the big thing for Larson.
Secret agent.
Kurt Busch was flying in on black helicopters.
But I would much rather see Larson in the car than I would have Kyle Busch.
Yeah,
I mean, no,
unless somebody's got
Busch
a punch.
Got absolutely.
I would
housed by Ricky Stenhouse.
I would love to see Shrub in the car.
There was Andrew Bowman was keeping me up to date on NASCAR Twitter because those folks were panicking that Larson had made the Fast 12 and then the Fast 6, and they actually delayed the All-Star race by a couple of hours for him, or 15
minutes.
Yeah,
at North Wilkesboro. We got to watch him from the racetrack. He got out of the car, did his interview. They put him on in a Suburban, took him out to the golf course, and then the helicopter left from there. Just like when the president flies, 2 helicopters left, so you didn't know which one was him.
Legit. 2 nearly identical helicopters left like 3 minutes apart.
So you didn't know which one was Larson. I don't know why they did it.
It's the sweet aviation helicopter.
Well, you joked, I wouldn't be shocked if this is the case for some weird reason, is that Jeff Gordon was on a different helicopter. They can't put them both on the same helicopter or something weird. But he
had such a damn giant party of people that they couldn't put them all on one.
All the Hendrick people.
I think that's a little more believable.
It's a pretty big helicopter, though.
Yes, there were a couple NASCAR.
Hendrick has had some tragic aviation issues in the past, so I could see them. Stop me when I start making shit up, Forrest. So I know in the corporate world, you have to split up some people for these reasons. Maybe that's the policy.
Maybe.
Ask Iran.
We have death silence over here.
I just don't know what you guys are talking about.
You don't know the story, Blake?
I do not.
Google
Ricky Hendrick?
Yeah, Ricky Hendrick, Martinsville.
Died.
Oh,
they lost like 7.
Wow.
They lost like 7 people.
All right. That's fantastic. Thanks for making me happy.
Sort of a Davey Allison type thing.
Dude, don't know who that is.
Jeez.
Not a race fan.
You guys got a lot of Googling.
Well, was born in 2002.
Davey Allison died in a helicopter crash he was piloting in July of 1993.
R.I.P. Kobe.
Red Farmer was in the flight with him too. Red's about 95 and still races dirt races. Bunch of
that's awesome.
Bunch of guys
against Mel Kenyon,
and Al Unser
and Mr. Scott.
So anyway, Davey and Red were in the plane crash at Talladega. There were a lot of that was a helicopter crash. There've been a lot of aviation accidents in motorsports over the years. The real question is does Tony Kanaan get another start in the 500? Because the weather does not look great Sunday, and apparently
it depends which forecast you look at.
The backup plan is Kanaan to drive the car.
I think it's still too early to.
I heard there's a window over Terre Haute.
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm gonna wait till Saturday afternoon.
I'll cry
if Larson misses the race, or if
the race is postponed.
If they run a Tuesday race like they did in '97,
yeah.
Oh, it's awful.
Because nobody's going to be there, and that's what makes the event.
That's the worst part about it, though. Is they run. Because somebody was asking like, what happens if it rains on Monday and Monday too? And I was like, I kind of doubt that would happen because if they went to Monday, I would hope that they would be very flexible about when they're going to run the race. As in,
8 a.m.
The first stint. If we have a 4-hour window in the morning, we're running at 8 a.m. in the morning.
Do you know how much hotels are at the GW Marriott?
Like I said, I don't care. But they're going to want to get it done. If they're going to Monday, they're going to get it done Monday.
Yeah. Speaking from track operational experience from working there, that's They start when they get a window.
Yeah, as soon as they can get it done.
Yeah, in '97, it just rained that whole damn day.
Oh, it was awful.
For 2 days.
Awful.
There was zero window.
Then we have like 13 laps one day, and then
something like that.
Yeah,
I haven't seen a forecast that says all day rain. It says scattered showers. So
I'm seeing like the weather.com app is like 60 to 90%.
The Apple weather
Has
forecast
that
is the
50.
most favorable right now. It's not showing rain
because it's
until like 4
unreliable
o'clock.
app. On
somebody
the planet.
I'm being optimistic.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
I think we're fine.
I'm an Android guy.
Somebody
so I
had
don't
a
know what your
somebody had a
Steve
horrible
Jobs weather app has.
somebody had a horrible weather app that said like periods of rain or whatever. Be prepared for the race to be postponed or canceled. Which canceled a strong word. It won't be canceled.
It will never.
But
So
If not, we'll just run in August.
at this point last week, we thought August 23rd. We have a history of doing that. At this point last week, we thought that both Fast Friday and Saturday were going to be total.
That's
shut.
exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah. So you don't know but
It's Indiana, and
we get nervous and we have nothing else but weather to talk about. Last week we sat down and realized that the Tenderloin had been ruined, so now we're just talking about the weather. So does Larson prioritize Charlotte over Indy?
that's what I've heard he will.
contract has to, I think.
Yeah, Rick Hendrick will tell him to do what he wants, but I've heard
Yeah.
that his priority is NASCAR and he'll leave if he needs to.
well, in the event of him winning, does he skip everything and head out? I mean, I think you have to think of it that way.
You got about 40 seconds to drink.
There's
milk for
so
a week
many
off.
cards at play with that.
Yeah,
No, he'll drink the milk and do his thing.
because they were talking about that with Kurt Busch as well, because
Yeah.
he was in a competitive car, and it was, if
Don't
you
they
win
have
this,
Harvick on stand?
I mean,
Yeah.
if NASCAR's
yes, they
slowed
do
the
have-
start of the All-Star race,
and it's
they'll
already
do
going,
it again for the 600.
It's already going to midnight. I mean,
it's media
let's be
for
honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks really good for them to like,
It's-
we're holding
it's
the race
like,
up. Why are
it's
you
like
holding
the
the race up?
president getting off the
Yeah.
helicopter, all eyes on this helicopter landing in the infield, and him with an IV still in his arm walking to the car.
Speaking of which,
I have zero doubt he's going to.
have you seen that Trump may be going to Charlotte, which may close the airspace?
He was going to go to Miami, and well, he did go to Miami.
He brought
But
a
he
win
was
to McLaren.
he was going to be on a car, and they told him no.
There are 3 empty side pod cars running the race. There were actually going to be 4, but Nolan crashed 2 race cars. So Rasmussen or the 2 home coast cars, one of them was going to have a deal with
Mr. Trump.
with Mr. Trump, and they said IndyCar said no. We'll just stay to our smokeless tobacco
And
all
pray.com.
and prayers and puppies
and polka dots.
and cryptocurrencies of all
I
types.
still can't do
Is
that.
Bitcoin still a organization?
The Todd
or not
Alt-
Bitcoin?
The Todd Alt
BitNile?
companies are still sponsoring the Ed Carpenter racing cars. They have the full season on the 20, and it is Guy Care, which is male enhancement via sound, and they have half of the 21, like 5
What
races
you know
on the
about
21 car.
That's
AskROI.com.
AskROI.com. Yeah.
And there's nothing on the Rasmussen car at this point. But I think Rasmussen has a scholarship money from being an Indeed NXT champion or whatnot. So we'll see.
But so I was confused by this till midweek. I realized what was going on. Rasmussen is actually driving the car that I would associate with Ed. He's driving the 33.
Ed is back to driving
The 20.
the car with the top crew.
Okay.
And Rasmussen's deal is that they will roll out an extra car for him on the ovals, but Ed is back into the Class A equipment.
Okay. So that's
Were
what
they-
That is not. VK has the best crew.
I would agree. I know
somewhere in there.
know
I would
several people in
assume
there.
that since VK hasn't finished a race yet, they're like, we're going to give Ed a shot to win.
Ed has a full-time crew. We'll put it that way for the
See,
500.
Normally the last couple of years, he's just popped up his own entry, the 33. And this year he shifted in, and then Rasmussen moved to the extra car, which was different than I was used to.
All right, Dakota, it's almost time for you to have your picks.
I'm pulling.
I know he's got to work this out.
Can we talk about the big weekend first?
Sure.
'Cause some extra stuff got added on the weekend.
Okay.
So we have Carb Day on Friday, correct?
Yes.
Then we have the World Championship Eating Contest downtown
Back here in Newcastle.
with Jack's Donut.
Third
Hole.
annual.
Donut holes.
Yep. Yep. Well, it just got added Saturday morning. 2 years ago, Blake and I went halfway between Rushville and Metamora and bought a 1986 pace car that I have tirelessly worked on for 2.5 years and have it back together near mint.
This is your Cadillac Alante?
No, this is my 86 Chevrolet Corvette parade car in white with the dashboard signed by Bobby Ray Hall, the winner. It has been selected as one of the 30 cars to be in the parade as the vintage cars. So
very cool.
Morning,
Oh, yeah.
be in the parade.
That's awesome.
Got that
So
cooling
that's pretty
system
cool
up to
stuff.
snuff.
That's awesome.
That happened at 8:30 this morning, so I'm pretty psyched.
No driver in that one. You'll be the driver.
I'll be the driver, and we don't know who the celebrity will be till we get there.
Fingers crossed for Florence Henderson.
Or Al.
So it is the celebrity from the list of B-listers who are coming in. For the
I would
race?
say that King Griffey Jr. and
He may be in a new one.
yeah, he'll probably be driving that one. Austin Butler, I would categorize as an A-list now.
That was kind of a weak selection for the honorary starters this
I
year.
mean, you've got to look from Gen
Has he
Z
done the
point of
starters yet?
view.
Didn't know.
Austin Butler is pretty up there for the female population.
I
So
don't
my
know
girlfriend's
that.
very excited that Austin Butler is going to
I
be
don't
in
know who it
attendance.
he played Elvis,
Yeah.
and he's in.
Okay.
He still has
Masters of the
Elvis's
Air.
accent. Yeah, he can't get
All right.
rid of the Elvis.
Dakota, as the Elvis fan
Draw.
in the room, do you know who Austin Butler is?
Not really a big Elvis guy. No, I don't know who Austin Butler is.
Okay, sounds good. You know who King Griffey Jr. is?
I know that name.
Do you?
Ever
I'm
leave your
very
home?
curious as to what do you do?
What happens in Spiceland?
Yeah.
He farms. He raises chickens. He's done some woodworking.
I coach soccer.
He keeps the lights on.
Yes, his 5-week commitment to coaching
Yeah.
soccer is why he doesn't know any of these people.
Listen, you know how in Exodus in the Bible, God hardened Pharaoh's heart against letting the Israelites free.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite
I
parts.
feel
of
like
the
the
Bible.
Lord has hardened my heart against the Indy 500.
It's King Griffey
Or
Jr.
he doesn't do stick and ball sports either.
Or America.
Yeah,
Ken Griffey Jr. was a legendary baseball player.
the greatest baseball swing ever.
for the
The kid.
Mariners and for the
White Sox, the Reds.
for the Reds.
Yeah.
So his father played for the Reds, and he came back here.
Grew up in the clubhouse.
And I think he might still be getting paid by them.
He is.
Yep.
I just don't.
Baseball. How does baseball make any money? They pay all these people.
Bobby Bonilla Day.
Not the well, then, yeah, but that's going to be what's his name too? The guy that just signed with the
Ohtani.
Yes,
Have you-
his contract is like 10 years.
It's
Have
30.
you not seen
yeah.
the Moneyball?
It's all backloaded
I mean,
too.
it's backload. Yeah, it's like
He's taking $2 million a year for the first 10, and then
I still don't have
the
baseball.
rest of the $500 million is coming later on.
IndyCar drivers
Sure
don't
hope
get
it
paid
pays
like
his
that.
gambling debts.
So let's talk. Those are his assistants' debts. Let's talk predictions, Mike. We'll let you start.
You want
I
the
want
list?
your winner, and I want you to give me a top line guy. And Forrest reserves the right to say that you can't have somebody that you say is your dark horse.
Forrest is the judge.
Yeah, four-time winner.
What is a dark
Well,
horse?
you're not going to like my dark horse. So.
It's going to be Elio Castroneves.
Your dark horse. Your dark horse can't have
Takuma
the face
Sato.
on the Borg Warner Trophy.
Well, that's not going to happen.
Is there a
Okay.
stipulation in
It's Takuma
what
Sato.
number of rows
So-
is considered a dark horse?
No, I don't think so. I think it's just
No.
a feel.
Not in the
It's
fast
just it's
12.
just I just want you to be willing to call bullshit for us. That's the important thing. And then I'm going to put Zach in charge of the bullshit meter for you.
The
And
what?
I'm going to be totally independent. Mike, give me your
Libertarian, you know.
yeah, agnostic over here. Mike, who you got?
I'm going to go with Rosenquist as my winner.
That's your top level.
That's my top level.
That's
Okay.
a hell of a top level.
And my dark horse is Ryan Hunter-Ray.
All right.
I'll give you
that.
Winner.
I'll give Ryan
Former
Hunter.
winner, but yeah.
It's a stretch, but yeah.
Ryan Hunter. I'll give you Ryan Hunter-Ray's odds according to FanDuel or DraftKings. He's at plus 4,000. So is that 400 to 1 or
It's
40
to 1.
40 to 1?
Yep. All right. So Mike's got Felix Rosenquist and Ryan Hunter-Ray. Blake, who you got?
I'll take Colton Herta starting 13th.
That's your top
as your
one?
favorite?
As my favorite.
And a Honda. All right.
Yep. And
Both y'all are choosing Hondas.
Yep. And then didn't look at a dark horse. Let me pick one out of my ass real quick. I will take Marcus Armstrong at plus 6,000. He could be the Marcus Ericsson of Chip Ganassi, to just put one up there.
He's a rookie.
Yep. Stumble into it.
He's a rookie. All right, Mr. Davis.
My top pick's going to be Will Power.
Very, very good pick.
Yeah, not a bad pick at
And
all.
then my dark horse will be Marcus Ericsson.
Coming from 32.
Forrest, I need a ruling.
2 winners.
That is definitely a dark horse.
I mean, he can't, yeah. I mean, almost could potentially be running for his third Indianapolis 500 win in a row, but he can't count to 4. So the dark horse is
I also
acceptable.
just realized that I qualified with a dark horse for my winner. So
I'm having to think.
All right, Forrest, let's go with you. Your top level, your favorite to win, and your dark horse to win.
Scotty Mack.
Okay.
God,
That's hard.
that would be a great winner.
Wow. That's a stretch.
It's my favorite. Shut up.
That would be a great winner.
He's not trying to show how smart he is. He wants to win.
Yeah. And my dark horse is Blake's favorite.
Colton.
Yeah.
I mean, that's my guy.
Didn't he have a really good day?
Yeah.
Monday?
Yeah, he's had a great day every day, except
He just
he
couldn't
just
qualify.
got bumped at the end of Fast 12. I think, and if you watch Joseph Newgarden's admit one today of the 2023 Indianapolis 500, got to be in the top 10, 100 laps in, and starting the 13th. So I think that's
Lucky
positive.
13. Who won from 13th? Did somebody win from 13th a couple years ago?
Dude, I have no
Mike
idea.
Danny Sullivan is from not this era.
That would be a
13.
crazy statistic to just pull off of your head.
Yeah.
You know what? There's a guy
Donald Davidson.
that's
If
in.
Jeremiah doesn't know.
He's
it,
in
then
retirement. There's a guy in
there's
retirement
probably
now.
One guy
And he's
that
not
knows.
here. I've
Well
never.
Well deserved. He's around. I hear,
Donald's
but-
mostly retired.
but yeah, mostly retired. There was Indianapolis used to have a guy who could pull that stat, and not only could he pull that stat for this year.
He
Next year,
can tell you
he
everybody that won
he'd
from
tell you he
13.
started 13th in the 1936 500 off the top of his head.
Boston 9, Indiana 0. 3 field goals for the Celtics. No,
All
still
threes, Drew Hall J.
nothing yet for the Pacers.
Okay, we're good.
4 drivers have won from the 13th starting position. 1922, Jimmy Murphy. 1923, Tommy Milton. 1930, Billy Arnold. And 1981, Bobby
Al
Unser.
Unser.
Bobby.
Bobby Unser. Mario Andretti. That one.
Okay.
All
Give
right.
it to us, Zach.
Zach, what you got?
Man, I was having a hard time because I actually kind of I love Rosenquist. Or I'm trying to think of somebody else.
You've
Though
never agreed with me in your life.
Felix is
Felix is
damn good
on
at
a
Speedway.
roll. He is rolling right now.
That is the smoothest car coming out. of
He's
turn 4
he's
out
living his best life. I think because he got treated like garbage by McLaren for
He
like
was
the
5
last,
minutes away from being fired for 3 years.
yeah,
Mhm.
and then he goes to this other team, which like I said had a rough couple years, and he's there every time, every weekend this year. He's there he's there in qualifications. He's there during the race, and I love it because he seems to be a super humble guy. I'll give you my dark horse first. Augustin Canapino. And
Where's he starting from?
22nd.
I mean, 17 won last year.
Yeah.
Mike, I
And
want you to know I already wrote mine down over here before he started talking.
I'm trying to come up with a good first round pick here because I don't like. Rossi.
There you go. Good choice.
I love me some Rossi. He's being himself too.
The only reason I chose Scotty Mack is because I didn't want to choose Alexander Rossi.
I like he is fired up.
His chippiness over the front row sweep was.
I love it. Somebody told me that it was dear leader Chris Spangle was sitting with us, and he's like, I was telling him I don't like Ericsson. He's like, the way you feel about Ericsson is the way I feel about Rossi. He's like, he's not been an asshole to me specifically. He's just an asshole. I was like, yeah, but he's our asshole, and I like it. And he is unapologetically himself, and I love it. And he seems.
Do you follow the Arrow McLaren social media team?
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, and he's the grumpy old man on the team.
It's awesome.
Like they referenced him when they showed a picture of all the drivers sitting in the grandstands, and they were like 4 and like to take pictures, and you know that was Rossi complaining about having to take pictures. Yeah.
The social media that I really enjoyed during one of the rain days, the Ray Hall team had their guys go out to the golf course and reenact the Beatles photo,
the Beatles photo,
which was fantastic. And then all of the pictures of Sato looking like a third of a person compared to the rest of the team. Compared to Graham is hilarious.
Oh, he's probably he's about chest high to Graham.
My favorite is the pole sitter. I will tell you, Dakota, starting from first is the most likely spot to win the race from. I do know that stat. Most winners have started in first. Scott McLaughlin, I think they've got, first of all, they have Simon Pagenaud coming back in. It's kind of his old crew. Ben Bretzman, who has the worst haircut on pit road, is the engineer.
Ferrucci. Cut that shit off. It's horrible.
Ben is hanging. Have you seen Ben Bretzman's hair?
I don't know who you're talking about.
He's the engineer for the Thirsty Threes. Ben is bald from the ears forward, but he's hanging on from the back.
That's okay.
He's windblown.
Let a brother win.
But he's not given up yet. So Ben was the engineer when Pagenaud won the pole and won the 500. Pagenaud has not raced a car since his very significant accident at Mid Ohio last year. He's coming back to kind of hang out with the Pennzoil team. A lot of symmetry. The Yellow Submarine hasn't won an Indy 500 since 40 years ago, or since 88. The last time Penske had this front row sweep. I think that's the one.
Kind of feels like destiny.
It does. And I think it'll be a super popular win.
I think we talked a bit about the apparent unspoken beef between him and Newgarden, where I think that they were buddies until he became a legit threat to Newgarden on the track. And then Newgarden's like, I can't be friends with you anymore. And he celebrated so hard when he beat Newgarden in the championship last year at the end of the year. I think he's got a chip on the shoulder that he wants to be Penske's number one. Yeah. He wants that to be his team. And an Indy 500 win gets you the first step in cementing,
especially after
position.
Joseph was disqualified to start the season.
Well, they both were.
You still have,
but he was.
Who they have three number one.
I think Will's just doing his own thing.
Yeah,
because I heard somebody say one time I listened. I have a Vanny plate on one of my vehicles. It's off track with Enzo Rossi, and they talked on that show. They're like, Newgarden has enemies on his own team. I'm like, that's Scotty Mac, because Will Power doesn't care.
Will just doesn't.
No. Will's in his own universe. He's kind of insane.
Just stone cold
love Will Power. He's kind of insane. I think he's just doing his own thing, showing up to work, and doesn't care what Newgarden does or what Scotty Mac does.
Always be there at the end.
Yeah, he's very good. He's fast. He's so fast.
He does not care about being in the limelight.
No, just wants to win.
100 Days to Indy with Will Power this week was fantastic.
I've not seen anything post about 100 Days. I've not watched an episode yet.
Well, that's because 1/4% of America is watching the thing on CW. The ratings are horrifically low. Season 1 is on Netflix.
I watched the first 15 minutes, and all of a sudden I thought Marcus Ericsson was a lot like Graham Rahal.
Yeah, Marcus Ericsson got way too much. He gets way too much TV time on that show.
That's another reason why. Another reason why I don't like him.
All right, let me get dark horse out. Forrest, I want to say Alex Palou as my dark horse, but I know that you're going to strike that. Because choosing the IndyCar champion would be total horseshit.
Yep, 13
and last 14. Year's pole sitter. So I had written down my pick before Zach went, and it's Agustin Canapino. I went last year. I know.
I think that would also be a great winner. I think that'd be great. For the sport.
It would be so good. He seems
because we would have a race in Argentina if he wins.
He didn't speak English till he got hired. Till he got
really.
He learned.
No, English. He spoke no English.
January of last year,
Christmas of 22. He spoke no English. He learned all the English he learned after figuring out he was going to drive an Indy car.
After his Plenum event, he cursed in both languages on the radio.
Yeah, and he's super humble.
And
by any account, he is the Scotty Mac of Argentina. That's what he was down there whipping their touring car series left and right. And that's what Scotty Mac was doing in Australia. So, in every interview I've ever heard, he's just like, he's just a happy-go-lucky dude. I don't think he knew he was going to be here until later in the year. People are like, are they going to bring him back or not? And so,
they would be the ultimate dark horse win if Hugo Hollinger wins the race with damn near naked side pods.
Do we think that Santino Ferrucci and Grosjean are going to crash each other? Because I think that would be the best moment of my young life.
Supposedly they shook hands and agreed that they don't agree, but they're going to
race.
They won't crash each other till the
Grosjean will crash someone. Guaranteed.
If it's Santino will also. Santino's going to be on his phone coming around turn 3.
If by some statistical anomaly it's those two with like 4 laps to go, yes, one of them's going to end up in the wall.
Yeah.
For sure.
Do we think we're going to get red flag bonanza again this year?
God, I hope not. They set the precedent, so yes, probably. Unless it's going to
rain. They need to set some rules as to after this lap we're not doing it. I get they don't want, like
my first race ended on a yellow and I hated it. However, I do understand the history. I think if you're wanting more viewers, you take the NASCAR route and you line everybody back up and you run them.
I'm not going to bitch at all. I get it. I'm frustrated. I would like to see it end naturally. A 1-lap shootout kind of sucks, but as long as it's 200 laps, I'm not going to complain.
I love
if they start adding laps to the race, then I'm going to be furious.
I love the drama of it last year, but to come out and take the green your next time around, I think that's a huge risk.
I just don't like any finish that I didn't have a super problem. Obviously, I didn't have a super problem with it because Ericsson went from winning to not winning. But the fact it's still debated this year, and it's turned into a thing where that race is going to go down in history.
2002 or
next to Paul Tracy and Elio Castroneves. Anytime you do anything like that, they need to step back and say, "Wait a minute." If this is still being discussed a year later and people are talking about the legitimacy, and I guess people aren't really saying that Newgarden didn't deserve to win, but they're saying that Ericsson got stolen from him, you need to take a step back and say, okay, that's a situation we should not have messed with. There should at least be 2 laps, really 3.
Or have it in the rule book. And they did. They did have it in the rule book saying we can adjust it as we need necessary.
Yeah.
But man, it didn't feel right, especially for it to be a Penske car.
Whoever came out on point there, they were just a sitting duck. It wouldn't have mattered if it was a Penske car or not.
And you knew that because of the way the cars race. That for you don't want to be first at 198, 189. You just don't. It's not a good spot to be.
My frustrations come when people start questioning the legitimacy of everything, which I can completely understand the cheating scandal. I forget who said it, talking about Joseph Newgarden being the most well-strung racer he's ever gone against, the most respectable. I completely believe the Newgarden press conference, and not because I worked for Penske Entertainment, but
you're the one guy that believed it?
Yes.
I don't think his team believed it.
I mean, I don't like when people start questioning the integrity of Mr. Penske, because I think he is.
I mean, one thing I'd argue, I never questioned Roger Penske's integrity. The team had some issues there, but like the league did, the league came down harder than they've come down on anybody in a long time.
And that's because it was Roger coming down on himself. Yeah. And I think that speaks to the character of the entire organization.
Just like in World War II, eventually we get it right. It's
what the hell?
After we try everything else, we finally get it right. Penske Entertainment did a half-ass deal with they didn't do any suspensions, and then there was a backlash, and then a week later, Roger suspended the team members.
I mean, you suspend the greatest strategist the sport has ever seen.
Can we rephrase that?
That's strong.
They suspended him by sending him to California.
Reassigned. He was temporarily reassigned.
They said you can't be participating in 2 races here, and they really learned their lesson by putting all 3 cars in the front row.
And they sent him to Monterey, California.
I completely understand where the backlash does come from.
Yeah.
Seeing it from that point of view, I don't think.
When Joseph Newgarden, and this is why Dark Joseph exists and why there were a bunch of T-shirts over the weekend that said they got caught. When Joseph stands up there and tearfully apologizes and says, we convinced ourselves the rules are this way, and then he finishes that press conference at Barber, and they go up to Will Power and Scott McLaughlin, and they go, we don't think that. And the guy sitting on the 2 timing stand is Tim Cindric, who runs all of those teams. That's when you knew there was a problem, and that's why Roger had to suspend Tim and the rest of the folks on the team.
I think it was not no harm, no foul, but I think they took the correct route in suspending
after they
Tim
got caught,
and everybody else on the stand.
And a week and a half later, they did it. Yes, they finally did the right thing.
I mean, you see FIA rules change on a whim. I mean, I think they did the right thing at the.
If they said, "Yep, we screwed up," and everybody would shut up about it, and that was it. But when Joseph stood up there and did the press conference and delved down on his in truth, that was why he cost himself fans. If he did what McLaughlin did and said, "Yep, I screwed up, guys. I own it. Done." That's why McLaughlin doesn't have the backlash, and people are pissed at Joseph. He's gonna get some booze. Sunday.
He got booed during the draw. We did the qualifying draw. He got some booze for that. Yeah, and Sky Mac was like, I hit it, and he basically said, I hit the button, and holy shit, it did something. So I figured I better not hit the button again because it's doing something.
But he also was quick to say that he didn't gain position from it.
Yeah, he said I hit it for 1.9 seconds.
Yeah. All right, so let's work our way around the room, do final thoughts, and talk about what each of your individual race story looks like. That's one of my favorite things about the track is that everybody has their own routine, the thing they do. Mike, I want to hear what your 500 is going to be like in 2024.
It's going to be just like every other one. I'm going to show up, put the fire suit on, and go out on track and do my thing. I think this year and next year, I'm going to continue the same that I always do. When I turn 60, I may reduce my role and go to a shirt and tie and shoot celebrities. But as of right now, the adrenaline got flowing pretty good with Erickson hitting the wall, and I'm ready for a good race day.
What race number is this of shooting?
41. 41, but officially it's only 38 because
you weren't old enough.
So you shot every race you've done's had an Andretti in it.
Everyone.
If Marco stops doing this, that's when you got to stop.
Marco's not had a kid, so we're kind of screwed.
Yeah, we're in deep trouble. We're gonna put Jarrett Andretti in a car.
That's fine.
John's son.
He's a stud.
Yeah.
I will say though that my parting shots are that I always look at how people come out of 4. And I predicted Weldon when Hildebrand hit the wall before the race.
Dude.
I predicted
Hildebrand did not come out of turn 4 very well.
No, and Weldon was smooth all month, even though he was not in a high-profile team. I think there's 3 or 4 people, one of them being Rosenquist, the next one Sato. He looks very good coming out of 4, and it may be because he's in a Letterman car that's slower, but I don't know. But
he looks great coming out of 4 because he's pushing whoever is in front of him
out
through
of
1.
Yeah. Yeah, but I really think that Sato will outperform his car.
Typical.
I think Hunter Ray will outperform his car. I think when Helio Castroneves was with Shank and won it, he outperformed the car.
Yep.
So that's what I try to look at. And I think there's 3 or 4 guys there that have not got the recognition that they deserve that probably could be there at the end.
If you get one of those one-off champions in an opportunity in the last 2 or 3 laps, like Elio did with Palou, where Palou had never run competitively in an oval before, and they're like a little baby goat tied to a stake with a lion there.
What are
That's
World War II.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Sacrificing goat.
What are we doing?
That was Palou.
You in World War II, I was going Jurassic Park.
So I think if you've got a Canapino versus
like a
Sato, there's no chance.
Canapino versus Scott
Nobody
Dixon
said Scott Dixon's name this entire time, and that is
scary.
That's the problem.
Really
is that he's starting very deep in the field, and you don't want to use him as a favorite. And if you try around here, if you try to say Scott Dixon's a dark horse, you're gonna get your ass kicked.
Yeah.
He does.
We step 2 feet out that door. He's in my attorney's office is right there for us.
Yeah, he's in a gray area. Yeah, where he's not starting up far enough up to be a favorite. Yeah, but he's not. You can't call him a dark horse.
So Blake,
he'll be in the top 5 with 10 laps to go probably.
Your dad's got his assignment. You're not working this year. What does your 500 Sunday look like?
So first time in a couple years I'm not working. So that's bittersweet. I loved working there. Last year I was there at 1:30 in the morning and stayed till 9 p.m. Longest day of my life, one of the best days of my life. This year, I'm kind of going back to when me and my mom sat outside turn 1 for my first race, going with Mr. and Mrs. Mark and Chris Morris. That's who I went to my first 500 with. We're running it back outside turn 1. We're under the canopy about halfway up.
What was your first race?
Tony Kanaan, 2013.
All
yeah.
Right.
Ended under yellow. Bringing my girlfriend this year, so it'll be her first race. So gonna kind of do the touristy, go see everything, go to the infield, try to see some celebrities.
Bring Dad a Gatorade.
Bring Dad a Gatorade and a hamburger before the race. And yeah, I'm just gonna embrace it and take it for what it's worth.
I'm excited to see you turn the girlfriend into a race fan that has to come back for the rest of
She went to Fast Friday. She loves the Elf Catherine leg car, Islip's face.
You'll want to listen to last week's episode of Zach.
It triggers me. Delivery triggers me.
They just announced an official partnership today with IMS. Elf did. She also traveled abroad to Asia over our winter term, and she loves Japanese people, and Takuma Sato might be her favorite. So she's got a good shot of leaving the place happy, but excited to just be back in the stands and have a cooler with me and enjoy the day.
That's awesome. Dakota, tell us about your Sunday plans and how you plan on consuming the activities.
I don't. I'll probably
be watching. You'll be poolside, doing your own thing.
It's supposed to be nasty.
Thanks, Dakota.
It's gonna be raining.
You're making a lot.
Dakota, I'm going to make a challenge to
It's gonna be a
you.
beautiful day, Dakota.
Yeah.
Friday was supposed to
Dakota
stink.
has a challenge between now and our 7th show next year. We've got to figure out how to set up a remote because Blake will be in Nevada.
Oh, it's in the contract. I'll be back.
Yeah.
I'll be back.
We can do
I'll zoom in for the podcast, but I will be back for the race.
All right.
You can just fly in for the whole week, Blake. Come on, show some commitment to this
thanks.
thing.
Yeah.
We've been around.
I'm
a
not
lot
getting
longer.
paid here.
We've been
so.
around.
And as I told Forrest, helipad right across the street.
We've been around
Right there.
a lot longer.
It's in the chat.
Yeah.
You can see where it is.
I drew a
I'm
picture
not going to
and I drew
lie. I woke up this morning and forgot today was Tuesday. I said, oh, crap, I got podcast.
My text this morning reminded you. Yeah. All right, Forrest, tell us new plans for you this year.
No, same plans.
What you
I'm just
Fifth and Holman?
Yeah, 5th and Holman.
You got the good parking spot this year.
Yeah, I've had it now. This is the 5th year, I think. That lot's great.
Great people there at Fifth and Holman.
Yeah,
Go say hi to Elaine for me.
I'll just run through screaming hi, Elaine.
Yeah.
It'll fit in well after the race.
Yeah.
So this is the first year that my daughter has or will not be attending with me since she started going. The Army had other plans for her this year. So be it. But it's kind of cool. Some family friends from the DC area are coming into town to attend the race. This will be their first 500 to attend since 1992, which was the last year that I did not go to the race. So they'll be joining me in Grandstand A, Box 39, in the family seats that are now in my name. With a brand new customer number that is not below 4,000, but well over like 620,000.
So what time do the planks have to get going to get into the track and make it to infield parking? What's that look like?
So I try to be in line when the cannon goes off. The Speedway, has a tendency to change their plans every year. And I used to have it great. I'd travel in Georgetown and go through whatever that gate number is there at the north end of Tower Terrace. I'd be 5 cars deep and gun goes off and pull right in. Well, I think it was 2 years ago, I sat in line and a yellow shirt asked me what I was doing, told me that they hadn't allowed cars in that entrance in like 20 years. So he made me leave, and I went in through the north end. Last year I sat on 16th Street. So I didn't get into the Speedway last year until about 6:45, even though I was sitting right at the bridge at 5:30, 5:45, something like that. So I'll leave at 5.
So north entrance, you're going to come in from 30th Street again?
No, I'll come in.
40?
I'll come in off of 16th Street again.
16th Street.
Yeah.
All right. Zach Burcham, what's race day look for you?
Lay in bed, hear a cannon go off, go back to bed, get up eventually, and do my eggs and smokies with the people. We're down a camper this year, 5 campers. And they'll sit around, and I don't know, I could go up earlier because I don't have to wait for Florence Henderson to be done to get to my seats, which was my traditional routine. I tried to shoot for right between America the Beautiful and back home again, Indiana. But I don't know, just get up and kind of chill.
You don't watch any of the pre-race, the vintage cars going around, nothing?
No, I never have. Because you just get there. Because I watch people go in there.
It's the race
at like 6 o'clock in the morning. And I'm like, what are you guys going to do for the next 5 hours?
You watch the place fill up.
People watch.
I don't have enough beverages to care.
Zach's been people watching all month.
In the
yeah. I mean, in my defense, I had those 90,000 people that showed up to practice. 70,000 of them parked behind my camper last weekend, and I was talking with a neighbor how we just get back to the camper and just sit there and watch people drive by or walk back to their car. So I did quite a bit of people watching. No, I've never done. Yeah,
have you ever seen it?
No,
Zach.
Are you in there by the flyover and everything?
Oh, I'm in by the flyover. Okay. I usually get in between America the Beautiful and back home again, Indiana.
Phillips is singing.
So I see the anthem. I see the flyover goes over my head. It goes
awesome.
So I can usually. The fighter jets are harder to find because they're smaller. If it's a B2, I can tell you 10 minutes before they even fly over because I'll see them also north end
you
of the
get a
track.
preview the day before as well.
Yeah, that too.
So I was working there last year and I was driving my golf cart on the phone with my boss. Snuck up right on me, watched him go overhead. They did it 4 times that day. I mean, it was the coolest.
But I do see some of the pre-race, but I'm not out there for the Purdue marching band, all that stuff. I'm not that diehard for that.
A
stuff.
Great pre-race activity, and I went and watched Blake do this a couple years ago, is the Borg Warner parade from the museum out.
So where are they keeping it now?
It'll still probably be in the basement. That's the first person I saw was Forrest Plank. I walk out of the basement of the museum and I hear Blake. Forrest effing Plank is standing right there. I was like, what are we doing?
And I meant to do something with this, but I've only been in the infield on race day like twice ever.
Different perspective.
Because at one time I just walked through because my seats are on the outside.
Yeah.
My seats are on the north chute. It would just add time to
it adds time. You're there the entire month. You might as well experience it all.
Food. So that is the difference, is that everybody, that's why I wanted to tell the story, is that everybody has a different experience of what race day looks to them. And that's their tradition.
Yeah. Sorry to shit on you there for 15 minutes, but I just think you're doing it wrong.
I've sat.
I'm a McKown. I have my opinions.
Oh, we do a pool
naturally.
We do a pool every year. It's like $1 an entry or whatever, and first, second, first outs, all that stuff. So we've always just done stuff, but
it's all in the campground.
Especially if
you just go to your seats.
Yeah, and at that point,
is your camper with his camper?
So my camper is in the same lot with Zach. We will be very close to each other.
So is Davidson and all those guys in the same area you are?
No, they rough it.
Okay,
they're in the Coke lot.
We are in the nicer family style area.
But you're not.
You guys have a nice spread over there. I got to see it in 2021 when they wouldn't allow me to park inside.
Where I park.
Probably not. No.
In the first couple weekends, we're up in lot 2, which is down by the media lot.
Okay.
We're in lot 6, which is just outside Jay's stand. For the 500 weekend.
Okay.
Yeah.
So my weekend will start with Zach telling me what time I need to meet him on the south side of town for our caravan inn for the land rush that happens at 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, it's been different every year for 5 years.
The yellow shirt that runs the lots tries to give tips that just caused mass chaos every year. It's great. About 7:30 in the morning on Thursday, I'll be set up and be chilled for the rest of the month. Race day, because we are sponsors of the Grand Prix, the Boss Hog of Liberty show here for the program. Lap 66 for the Grand Prix. When you look at your Indy 500 program, you'll see us in there. Comes with a couple of credentials that get us into the garage and the pits and onto the grid before the race.
It's a cold pass.
So it's a cold pass. So Sarah and I will generally what we do is we bring our coolers in, walk them down to the garage, check them at the garage area, and then we'll go out to the grid, see some people, see the cars, chill out, just kind of hang out. Once they throw us off of the pit road, then we will go back to the garage, get our coolers, and then catch the shuttle. Last year was the first year we realized we should just catch the shuttle from the museum up to the North 40 drop off, and then we go out to our seats in the Northeast Vista in turn 3. So we're just like you. We're Northeast Vista section 16, about halfway up. So right below Jake Query, where he calls the race from. And as much as I love the turn 1 view, the turn 3 view is it's special because it's the one time a year you can sit there.
Yeah.
And it fills up, and we got about 35 or 40 people that are a family that sit with us from Wabash, Indiana, and you see them literally growing up. We've been in those seats since 2016, and we're just surrounded by them. So it's a great time every year. It's like a little reunion with that crew. It is a hike to get out there. Or if I go to the climb down out of our stands, and there's 2 bathrooms there and the golf course. We literally have a tee box behind us.
Yeah.
And all the turn 3 spotters.
I played the golf course last year.
Yep.
Lost 17 balls in a post to score. That's the hardest course I will ever play.
Yeah. It's something else.
Yeah. I realized I was very spoiled last year whenever I walked under gate 2 and had to walk to the pagoda instead of riding on my golf cart.
Have you ever heard my story about the person who was lost?
No.
I sit in North Vista, row QQ, section 31. I'm as far north as you can get because behind me is a fence and a drop. This woman comes up, says, "You guys are in my seats." I'm like, "No, you're not. These are my seats. Let me see your ticket." She was in the South Vista. Cars were moving. Like they are off the grid. The grid is rolling. She got
there at lap 35.
Yeah, she said, "Where are my seats?" I said, "Well, picture these seats, but all the way down there, and it's fuzzy. That's a ways away. The straightaway is 5/8 plus."
Yeah,
she was at the absolute wrong end of the track.
I hope she parked down on Polko like at Dotlich and walked all the way.
Oh, that would have been even better if she walked under her seat.
She parked in the gravel lot across the street. I parked there last week for.
But yeah, somebody came in one time and it was like, because I don't mind that Jeremiah's figured out. I don't mind walking around. I kind of wander all over the place, but yeah, she was at the wrong end of the track.
Ouch.
I absolutely wore myself out walking last weekend. I think I did 22,000 steps one day and about 15,000 another. It was like 8 miles and 5.5 miles.
I did that in Washington, D.C. last week.
Oh, kick my butt.
Usually I'm about 6 miles a day.
Yeah. It doesn't take much. It's like Vegas where you think something's close, and it's by the time you walk from the suites that are outside turn 4 down to the garage area and back 2 or 3 times, you've just put the steps in.
Mm-hmm. That's why they call the Mirage Hotel the Mirage.
Yeah,
I do wish they put a tunnel under turn 1.
It would be so much easier if they dropped if you had a tunnel that would get you in from down there. The turn one seats to the garage area is a hike.
I did 3 times on Saturday.
We had credentials. I think we had 2 garage and pit road passes on Saturday, and I was like, I do not want to use these. And my cousin Frances was with us. She'd camped with us, and I'm like, Fran wanted to go to the garage. Nobody else in the group wanted to go. I'm like, Zach, you want to go? And he's like, yep, absolutely. So I don't mind. He took her on the tour.
I did that 3 times. I did that. Yeah, I went down once with her. Went down once because there's no museum, so there's no big gift shop, and so the best gift shop is right off Pagoda Plaza, but you had to go all the way down to the pagoda, under the tunnel, and then back across. And then you have to go halfway across the plaza to come back around. And then there's a guy who's from Henry County who's on VK's car. And when VK's car made it into the Fast 12, I'm like, well, I got to go tell him congratulations because they hustled to get that car back together.
Harvey? Because he's not.
Joe Hedges.
Oh, Joe Hedges.
Yeah. He used to be a YMCA guy when I worked at the Y. Yeah. So I went and told him, because I always tell him, I try to talk to him every year. I was like, I hope you have an uneventful or smooth month. And I was like, you didn't have the smooth day like you hoped to, but at least you worked out. You guys were the story of the day. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. That's our story this week. Tune in Sunday, noonish, hopefully. Rain, stay away. I don't want to have to watch the race on Monday. And if it goes to Tuesday, I got to bail. That's my heart out is Monday night. After Monday night, I got to go home. But I'm not doing
call in sick.
Yeah.
I got to be in Akron at noon on Tuesday. Not good. I got to go back over the Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company. So with that, we say thank you guys so very much.
Don't forget the donut hole eating contest.
A week from Thursday, Rex Bell will be with us. He's retiring after 50 years of swinging a hammer and running for governor. So we're going to have Rex Bell on a week from Thursday. We'll see y'all then.